Do you feel confused while writing the binary search algorithm? Do you want to know how you can learn hundreds of problems by just understanding the concepts of binary search? In this video, I will explain to you the concepts of divide and conquer paradigm used in the binary search. You can use these concepts to solve hundreds of similar problems, from which I will go through three problems. My name is Aditya Shenoy from Brainy Things, where I make programming simple and fun. YouTube statistics show that a small percentage of you who watch my videos are actually subscribed to this channel. So if you end up liking this video, please consider subscribing. It's free and you can always change your mind in future. First, we will define a function. We will name it as binary search. This function will take two parameters, an array A and a key which we are trying to find in this array. The assumption of this algorithm is that the array in which we are searching for the key is sorted in an ascending order, and this array is of finite size. Binary search algorithm works by reducing the array size by half in each iteration, and thus it will change the bounds of the working array. To keep a track of these bounds, we will initialize two variables L and R, which will denote the left and the right bounds. Initially, these variables will take the values of first index, that is 0, and the last index, that is length of array minus 1. As the algorithm will proceed, these bounds will come closer to each other and eventually cross each other. So we will run the while loop until L is less than R. We will modify this for the case when the two bounds overlap. But first we will write the non-boundary cases. Inside this while loop, we will calculate the mid index of the current working array characterized by left and right bounds. The mid index is the average of left and the right bound. I will use integer division because indices should be integers and not floating values. Then we will check if key is equal to the middle element. If it is, then we will straight away return the mid index because we have found the value. Now, as we know that the middle element is not equal to the key, we need to eliminate either the left half or the right half. For the key to be present in the left half, the key should be lesser than the middle element. If this condition becomes true, we can reduce the right bound to mid minus 1. Here I'm using a minus 1 as the middle element is not fruitful to us now because it is not equal to the key, because this condition became false and thus it entered this if condition. So we will change the right bound to mid minus 1. So by this step we have completely eliminated the right half of the array and divided the size of the array to half. This is the essential step for the divide and conquer paradigm. Now, as the key is not equal to the middle element nor it is lesser than the middle element, it means that the key is greater than the middle element. So in the else clause, we will eliminate the left half by shifting it to mid plus 1. Again, the middle element is not fruitful as it was not equal to the key. Now we can think of the boundary cases. What if the input array is empty? In that case, this L and R will take values of 0 and minus 1. In this while loop, 0 is less than minus 1. No, it is not. So it will break out, it will not enter the while loop at all, and it means that the key is not present in the array. So in that case, we will return minus 1. This condition will also work when after dividing the array into half continuously, the array will become of 0 length. In that case too, L will be greater than R and thus it will break out the while loop, indicating all elements in the array were eliminated and thus the element is not present in the array. And we will return minus 1 in this case too. Now what will happen when the values of L and R are equal? This is when the input array or the divided array becomes of length 1. In that case, this condition will become false as equal elements are not lesser than each other. So we don't want to break out of the while loop as the only remaining element may be the element we are searching for. So we will add equal to condition over here as well to capture the single element case. So in this way, the binary search algorithm is completed. We can test this code with an example array. As per our assumption, this array should be sorted. So I will take an array which is sorted in an ascending order. Let's see what happens if we try to find values between 0 and 20. I'm taking the value of 0 and 20 because 0 is less than the first element and 20 is greater than the rightmost element. So in this way, we can cover almost all the cases, that is the values which are lesser than the array, greater than the array, and all values between these arrays. So for that, I will run a for loop. Range function will by default start with 0, so I need to pass the ending value which will be 21. I'm passing 21 because range function does not include 21 value, and thus this for loop will end at I equal to 20. In each of the iteration, we will print the I to see which index we were trying to find, the answer of the binary search, and we will print the array as well so that we can check the output in the console itself. Let's run this program. As you can see, the elements that are not present in this array will get a value of -1, and the elements that are present in the array will get a zero based indexing, that is 1 is present at the index 0, 2 is not present, 3 is present at 1, and so on. You can verify this. This code is working correctly. Now, just getting the output is not enough, so we need to see what is actually happening in this code line by line. So for that, we will see the working of this code using the dry run. So this is the code that we have written. This is the pointer to the line that the program is currently executing. These are the variable trackers. It will show the current value of the variables, all the temporary variables, and this region will show the calculation steps. So initially, when the function will be called, that is the input will be of this array, that is same input that we have generated, and the key value is 4. Let's say we are trying to find a value of 4. Now L and R will take a value of 0, and R is length of A. Length of A is 9 over here. So 9 minus 1, that is 8, the last index. So L will take a value of 0 and R will take a value of 8. It will check if 0 is less than equal to 8. Yes, it is. So this condition becomes true. It enters the while loop. The mid value is calculated. That is 0 plus 8 divided by 2, that is 4. So the current index is 4, the middle index, and the middle element at this index is 8. And as we have not reduced the array yet, so the current array is the entire array. It will shrink as the code will proceed. Now it will check if the key that we are trying to find, that is 4, is equal to the middle element, that is 8. It is not matching, so this condition becomes false. It will check if 4 is less than 8, that is the value that we are trying to find is located to the left of the array. This condition becomes true, so the right bound will change to the middle index minus 1, that is 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. It will skip the else part. Now the left bound is 0 and the right bound is 3. That is this array. The middle element has been calculated. Normally 0 plus 3 is 3, 3 by 2 is 1.5, but integer division makes it 1. As you can see, the current array is shrinked to the 4 elements that were left, and it still contains the element that we are trying to find. So the middle element is now 1. It will check if the middle element, that is the element that is present in the middle index, that is 3, is equal to 4. It is not, so this becomes false. Is 4 less than 3? No, it is not, so this condition becomes false. So it enters the else condition and it will change the left bound. This was the middle element, so as this is not equal and it is greater than, the left bound can shift to this position. So now the left bound will be 2 and right bound will be 3. So these are the two elements just remaining now. Again 2 is less than equal to 3. This condition becomes true. It enters the while loop. The middle element is calculated. 2 plus 3 by 2 is 2. And as you can see, the current working array has shrunk to just 2 elements. Now the middle element, the middle index is 2 and the middle element is 4. This middle element is matching to the key that we are trying to find, and thus this condition becomes true and we have found the value that we are trying to find. So this will return 2. Why 2? Because it is the index of the middle element, 0, 1, 2. So that was the answer that we required, and the program will terminate. We will see one more example by seeing what happens when the key is not present in the array. We will pass a value of 5. Let's see by running this program again. As you can see, the key is 5. The rest of the array is same. The left and right bounds are again 0 and 8 because the length of array has not changed. 0 is less than equal to 8. It becomes true. Middle element is 4. Middle index is 4. So this is the middle element, that is 8. Is 5 equal to 8? No, it is not. So this becomes false. Is 5 less than 8? Yes, it is. So we can shrink the right bounds. And the middle index was here. So the right bound will shift to here. That is, this will be the current working array. Is 0 less than 3? Yes, it is. The array is shrunk to 4 elements. The middle element is 1. That is this array, this index. The middle element now becomes 3. 5 is not equal to 3. It will skip. Is 5 less than 3? No, it is not. So this becomes false. It will enter the else condition. The left bound will become middle index plus 1. That is 1 plus 1, 2. So this will be the working array. Now is 2 is less than equal to 3? Yes, it is. Middle element is again calculated as 2. Till now the code is working just similar to the case where we had passed key equal to 4. Now the key will not match because the key is 5 and the middle element is now 4. So this becomes false. Is 5 less than 4? No, it is not. So we will shrink the left bound. The left will become mid plus 1. Middle index was 2. So left will become this 3. Now still left is 3, right is 3, and the current working array is just of one element. So we will enter the while loop again. The middle element is the same element, so the index remains same. It is 3. Middle element is now 7. It does not match with the key 5. It becomes false. 5 is less than 7, so this becomes true. The right bound will shrink to 3 minus 1, that is 2. Now the right bound is over here and the left bound is over here. That is, there is no element present in the working array. This will mean that the while condition becomes false. 3 is not less than equal to 2, and that indicates that all the elements in this array has been eliminated, and thus the key that we are trying to find is not present in the array. So this becomes this function returns -1. In binary search, as the array size is divided into half in each iteration, the time complexity of this program is O of log n, log to the base 2 of n, because we are dividing the array into two halves. So log to the base 2 of n. The space complexity is constant, that is O of 1, as the same amount of space will be required for the temporary variables, that is L, R, mid, etc., irrespective of the input size. That is, even though the array size will increase, it will still take a single integer values. Now, as I told you in the intro, you might wonder how understanding this algorithm will make you learn hundreds of other algorithms. Will the code not change? Yes, definitely the code will change, but the fundamental structure of binary search algorithm will remain the same. Let's demonstrate this by writing the code for finding the closest element to a key in a sorted array. For example, the input is 6. So if the value of 6 is present in this array, we will return 6. But in this array 6 is not present, so the closest value is 7. So our answer should be 7 over here. We will again define a function. We will name it as closest. Just like the binary search, it will take two parameters, an array and the key. As the array is sorted, we can use the binary search concepts here too. We will again initialize two variables that will indicate the bounds of the array. The left will be 0 and the right bound will be length of array -1. Then we will again iterate while L is less than R. We will modify this later for boundary cases. We will find the midpoint, which will be the average of L and R. For closest also, we will check if the middle element is equal to the key. If that is the case, we will return the key value and not the middle index, because in this problem we are not interested in the index of the closest element. We are interested in the value of the closest element. So if there is an element that matches exactly to the key, then the value that we are interested in, that is the closest element to the key, is key itself. Now, what if the key does not match the middle element? This is the part where we eliminate the left and the right halves. For eliminating the left half, the condition is that the key should be greater than the middle element. But in this case, instead of shifting the left bound to mid plus 1, we will shift it to only mid. This is because even though the middle element is not equal to the key, it may be the closest element. So we need to keep that element as well. Similarly, for the elimination of the right half, we will shift the right bound to mid element and not mid minus 1. Now we can think of the boundary conditions. What if the array is empty? In that case, there will be no element closest to any key value. So you can check at the beginning whether this list is empty and return none, like this. If not A, return. But I will assume that the input array contains at least one element in it. But in the closest element finding problem, we need to narrow down the problem to an array containing one or two elements. And then we can decide which is the closest. So this narrowing down should happen when there are more than two elements in the array. So in that case, we need to change the while loop condition to L plus 1 is less than R. That will ensure that the left bound and the right bound contains at least 3 elements in it, that is more than 2 elements. And once the narrowing down of the elements are done, we will be left with only 2 elements, that is A of L and A of R. For the cases where there is only one element present in the input, these two values will be equal. Now we will return the left element, that is A of L, if the absolute difference between the key and the A of L. Now key is greater than A of L, because if the narrowing down has happened correctly, the key will be greater than left element and lesser than the right element. That is, it will be situated between these two values. So for calculating the absolute value, key should be first because key is greater than A of L. If this absolute difference is less than the absolute difference between the right element and the key, we will return A of L. If it is not, then we will return A of R. Now, what will happen if the key is closest to both? That is, these two values become equal. The absolute differences become equal. As an interview tip, you should clarify these types of questions regarding the boundary cases, like an empty array that we just saw now, or special cases like equal absolute differences like this. Then the interviewer will let you assume to or state their own assumptions. So in this case, I will assume that we will prefer the left one over the right in the cases of equal differences. So I will add an equal to condition, that is, if they are equal also, we will return the left element. Now we will run a for loop just like the previous case. So I will copy this example array and the for loop, and instead of binary search, I will call the closest function. Let's run this program. As you can see, the elements that are outside the array will get the elements that are present at the end of the array. 20 will get 19, and you can verify this, for each of the element. The elements that are present in the array will be returned with the same value. In situations where the key value is situated exactly in the middle of two elements, the left value will be preferred, and you can verify this for all other elements. So as you can see, even though this problem seems to be very different from binary search, it uses almost the same code and same principles of binary search. A basic thumb rule that I personally follow to identify these problems is to see if there is any searching required in a sorted array. If you see this, then binary search can be applied. Moving on to the next problem, which is very similar to the previous one. In this problem, we need to find the largest element which is lesser than or equal to the input key value in a sorted array. In simple words, we need to find the floor element. Remember the thumb rule? Finding something in a sorted array. Yes, this is a variant of binary search too. So for example, in this array, if the input is 6, so the position of 6 will be virtually over here. 6 is not present in this array, so we will find a value which is lesser than the value of 6. So we will return 4. This is a value equal to or just lower than the input. For this code, I will copy the code of the closest function and paste it over here. I will rename the function to floor, The while loop condition will remain the same as we need to narrow down the problem to at most two elements. The only change inside this loop that we need to make is the right bound. If we are eliminating the right bound, the middle element cannot be the floor element as the key is lesser than the middle element. So we will change this to r equal to mid minus 1. Also, this condition outside the while loop will change. You might think that if we just have two options remaining, we will return the left element, that is a of l, like this always. But this is not correct. We will try to run this code and see in which inputs the code will break. As you can see, for inputs of 0, that is elements that are present outside the left bound, are returning values of 1, and 1 is not less than or equal to 0. So this condition is wrong. 1 is correct, 2 is correct, 3 is correct, 4 is also correct. See over here, 7 is present in the array, but it is still returning the 4 value. This is because the two values that were remaining at the end of the while loop were these two elements, and we were straight away returning the left element without considering that the key can be equal to the right element as well. Also, in the case of 20, that is the case where the key value is located outside the right bounds, in that case too, the two elements that were remaining were 17 and 19, and we were again returning the left element. So by this information, we came to know that we need to return the right element when the key value is greater than or equal to the right element. Greater than in this condition and equal to in this condition. So we will modify this. We will return a of r if a of r is less than equal to the key value, or else in all other conditions we will return a of n, because in all other conditions the code was giving correct answers. Now we need to tackle this boundary condition, that is this one. In this case, the narrowing down was happened with only these two elements, and we need to return a special value because there is no element less than or equal to 0 in this array. So we will add a boundary condition at the start of the function. We will check if the key is less than the first element. If that is the case, we will straight away return a none value. Now we can run the program again to see if the code is working for all conditions correctly. As you can see, a none value was returned for 0 case because there is no elements for this key. For 7 case, this code has correctly debugged, and for 20 case also, this is returning now 19. So in this way we have completed the floor program. Now moving on to the next program. This problem is complementary to the floor program. Yes, you guessed it correctly, it is the ceiling problem. The problem statement is that we need to find the smallest element in a sorted array which is greater than or equal to the given value. In short, ceiling value. Applying thumb rule again, finding something in a sorted array. So this is a binary search variant. I will copy the code for the floor function into the ceiling file. I will rename this to ceiling and this as well. In this code, we need to change the boundary condition. In the floor, it was in the beginning, but in ceiling, we need to check for the last element. If key is greater than the right element, we will return nothing because there is no element greater than the last element over here. And inside the while loop, it will be complementary to the floor function, so the left bound will be mid plus 1 because left element cannot be the ceiling of the key, and right element can be the ceiling because right element may not be equal, the middle element may not be equal to the key, but the middle element can be the ceiling value if we are eliminating the right half. Also in this condition we can return a of r always, but there are some problems just like the floor function. So we need to return a of l when key is less than equal to the left value, that is in the boundary cases. Here when the key is 0 we need to return the left element and not the right element. Also when the key is equal to the left element, in both the cases we will return the left element, and in all other cases we will return the right element. We will run the program. As you can see that 0 is correctly giving the value of 1 because that is the ceiling because of this condition. The other values that are present in the array are giving the correct answers. The values which are not present are returning the ceiling values, and in the boundary condition it is returning none because there is no element greater than or equal to 20 in this array. Here in these three functions I have assumed that there will be at least one element present in the array. You can add condition at the start like this, that is if the array is empty we will return a special value or print error or something like that, but I have assumed that the input array will always take at least one value in it, so you can change your code as per your constraints. This was just three problems that was similar to binary search. You can apply the binary search principles to hundreds of algorithms out there. As a note, I have mentioned iterative versions of all the code. You can use recursion as well, but recursion adds a lot of overhead on the memory by using the recursion stack. And writing a recursion code in an interview when you have an iterative version available will really put a bad impression on your interviewers. Try to solve some problems on divide and conquer that are based on binary search. See if you can figure out the logic of the code on your own or not. Once done, you can check the correct code on websites like Geek4Geeks to verify the logic. You can also run your code and debug. If you like this video, please press the like button and subscribe to the channel. Comment down below what other problems can be solved using these concepts. Share this video with your friends. You can connect to me via LinkedIn link present in the description. The code that I write in all my videos of this channel is available in my GitHub profile, whose link is again in the description. If you want to see a line-by-line explanation of data structures and algorithms, check out the playlist over here. If you want to develop a hands-on game development project, then check out the playlist over here. If you want to develop an automation project using Python, check out the video over here. And I will see you in the next video.